the record button and we are recording.
Okay.
All right, Girl Skill listeners and everybody perhaps watching. Today I have a really special guest with me because this is not my usual guest. This is a client of mine that I've worked for the last, 3 months, 4
3
months?
months. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her name is Sarah. Sarah, hi. Welcome to Girl Skill Podcast and to this interview.
Thanks for having me, Anna.
How do
Glad to
you
be here.
feel? How do you feel?
I feel great.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful.
Usually clients say, I'm a bit nervous. I haven't done this before, so.
I haven't, and I'm just trying to hide my anxiety.
You're doing it really well, Sarah. So, yeah, thank you so much for being here and having, the courage to do this. I really appreciate it because not every woman will openly come and talk about her journey, especially with such personal subjects. So I really, really appreciate it. And I know the listeners and whoever might be watching this also appreciates this as well. So, Sarah, let's begin with your story. Just the background so that people understand where you come from, what you do. So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Sarah Janicki. I reside currently in Montana, United States, just north of Yellowstone National Park. I've had a long and varied career living in Montana and have dated many different types of men. And this past August, I turned 40, and I just realized that I just wasn't where I wanted to be in my life as far as relationships go with men. I needed to do something, and so I started, kind of looking for avenues to help me because I realized that I couldn't do it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I had a vision, a very strong vision for my life, but I hadn't been able to achieve that on my own. And I knew that I had to look a little bit deeper and how to create the life that I really, really wanted so deeply.
Mm-hmm. And tell us a little bit about that vision. What is, I think it hasn't changed, right? What is that vision? Has it evolved a little bit or?
So when I came to Anna's coaching practice, my overall vision for myself was that, I wanted to meet a wonderful life partner. I had this dream of, living in Mexico in this beautiful, serene beach house and having a couple kids and creating a family and, wake up in the morning and just be able to be with my family and walk out onto the sands of the beach, listen to the ocean, drink my coffee, and really kind of say goodbye to this life of, I've had multiple careers and realized that just wasn't really bringing me the joy that I wanted. And I didn't want to be alone anymore. I mean, I feel like I accomplished a lot by myself. Purchased a home by myself. I have all the, I guess you could say, like Montana toys, boats and jacuzzi tubs and this and that, but it's all empty if you don't have people in your life that you love to share those things with.
So we're gonna talk a little bit about your situation before we started working together in a little bit more detail. But I first wanted to ask you the questions. So Sarah, you mentioned like you were researching and looking for something to help you get to where you want to get and change something about your relationships with men or the men you were meeting. So I'm curious, how did you actually find about my work? When and how did you stumble upon it?
So it was one of those days where I was scrolling
That's right.
and scrolling. And I do feel that there is something to that adage that when the student is ready, the teacher arrives. And you almost have this like intuitive knowingness about that. And I remember I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw Anna's ad on Facebook, and then I watched the small presentation and I signed up to do kind of the discovery call. But before I even had the discovery call, I knew that I wanted to work with Anna. I just had that kind of deep sense of knowing because what she was presenting was really speaking to my heart about what I wanted. in
Mm-hmm.
my life. And when I was talking to Anna in a discovery call, what I had mentioned was that there was really no women in my local community that really had the life and the lifestyle that I wanted to create for myself. And I had remembered that I had a boyfriend one time who said to me that to kind of get to the next level of where you want to be, you really need to have a mentor. It's actually crucial to have somebody that is in the place in their life where you want to be. And so I guess I was tired of battling on my own. I've always been fiercely independent, like probably most women that would do this type of work. I've done it all by myself, and and there I am still by myself. So something needed
Mm-hmm.
to change.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. And so you saw the Facebook ad. This is actually great news. Sometimes I can't say whether women come from a Facebook ad or not, but this is great because we know it works. And so many,
Mhm.
I'm skeptical about Facebook ads, a little bit, but now I see that. It makes me feel so joyful to hear that, because I know then that it works. And when we're not looking for it, then it deeply resonates. So you clicked on the post, which is an ad, but it's still a post of mine. You sign up for the webinar, which is live female success. I'll be changing that
Yeah.
shortly, actually, to be talking only about men. So but all this stuff, Sarah, because we work together. And I'm curious, so at the end of this webinar, I actually make it a personal invitation, and I say, if you're wanting to go deeper and actually work on this, sign up for a discovery call. So I'm wondering, what actually motivated you to take the step and sign up on the discovery call, and what happened on the discovery call, for everybody listening, just to get to know? Because a lot of women watch a lot. I'm sure you've watched, or read like webinars maybe on other things, and then sometimes you don't take that next step. So I'm curious, what made it for you? Why did you actually decide to sign up? And then what happened on the discovery call that actually made you sign up for the coaching?
Yeah, I think that your message so strongly resonated with me, and all of the truths that were in that presentation just kind of speaking to my soul. And so the message resonated me, which motivated me to sign up to do the discovery call. And then, like I said, I knew before the discovery call that I wanted to coach with Anna. And so, but when I started talking with you, I just really, it
Mm-hmm.
just validated things for me, because I felt this sense of excitement, which I don't, it takes a lot to like kind of get me moving and motivated to actually take action and do something. But I think when the message is right and the person's ready to hear it, when those things all come together at that right kind of divine timing, that's kind of what happened there.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a nutshell, how would you describe this message that you really resonated with and spoke to your soul?
Wow. I think just I was realizing that what I was doing wasn't working, and then I had to try a different way. And given that I am a female, I am a woman, and I often do not operate in my feminine energy. I had always been kind of in a masculine world. I've been a manager, and so the message was just that almost for me, it was like, it's okay to be a woman. It's okay to be feminine. I think even in the United States, there, was this huge feminist movement that kind of moved women into, the right path as a career, and put your family life on hold. And so there was a lot of, I think, cultural influence. And even right out of high school, I got into a great business school, and away I went.
Mm.
There wasn't really even a thought that I would just stop for a minute and really do some soul searching to think, maybe I don't want that. Maybe I just want to have a family, and that's okay. But at the time that I was leaving high school, it was like, what college are you going to? What kind of career are you doing? Like, it just wasn't really something that felt like it was an option to just, I mean, be a feminine woman and start and create a family. That just,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we all know why that happened, right? Like if you look at the history, like it just went,
Right.
it almost feels like from one side to the polar opposite, you know, where women were just all about the family, and then they swang into the other side where it's just about the career. And Sarah, your story is so common. I speak to so many women who are, you know, approaching their 40s and they're like, holy shit, I kind of forgot that,
I know.
like, there are some things that are important to me, like finding a man and being in the relationship and having a family. And it almost like, and you know, I also talk to very young women who are now in this whole, now it's even, I mean, it's the same, I guess, when you were in high school, but now it's like all of these things that are coming up, like, you know, Me Too and all of this patriarchy. And so anyways, like every generation, I think, goes through different things, but it's almost like we don't even have the permission to also focus on the relationship. So I believe it's all about a balance. Like, yeah, you got to focus on your career and doing things that you want, but hey, like you also got to focus on the man, because by the time you reach, and I'm not talking about you specifically, but so many women, by the time they reach 35, 40, the clock is ticking. They're like, shit, like I don't even know where to begin. Like, what the hell happened in the last 20 years or something?
No, and it does. It sails by. I mean, and I think for me, the big trigger was the 40th birthday, you
Mm.
know, and then I was like, this is not what I want my life to look like. I do not want to be living in this house that I bought by myself, you know, with my two cats, you know, eating bonbons for the rest of my life. Like that's not what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so you have to change like your belief system and your habits. And really, I wanted to look deeper at myself because, you know, when you're in a relationship, you're half of the equation. And so clearly I knew there was more to look at.
Right.
So,
Okay. So you already told us your situation before we started working together, why you came to my work, but I specifically want to discuss a little bit about your situation with men. So you have very graciously told us that you were different. You're meeting different types of men. I really like that. That's very gracious and polite and very respectful, which is also, Sarah, very interesting because so I do these client interviews, you know, after we work together, and I see even the dynamic shifts of how these women, you know, how before they start working with me, of how they talk about the men in their life that weren't, you know, what they wanted to them to be, or the quality, to how they actually talk about them. So a lot of women, you know, and I don't know if that's your story of, or you care to share with us, have resentments towards their ex-boyfriend and they're a bunch of assholes and da, 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 whatever. And then when we do this work and things start shifting, we also kind of see these men as just a variety or different types or less than what I wanted, you know. So it provides some sort of even a healing, and almost like you see them as kind of teachers. So curious to know what you think about that, and also if you could tell us in those gracious lines or whatever you want to, however you want to describe it, what kind of different men or less than desirable men you were attracting before we started working together.
right. And I don't even know if I would say that they were less than desirable. Like in
Mm-hmm.
their own way, they treated me the best that they knew how within their realm of experience. And I honestly had breakfast with one of my ex-boyfriends just yesterday morning. And, you know, I'm surprised actually at myself that I have been able to maintain very good relationships with them. And you know, most of them are business owners. So this particular ex, you know, we had a wonderful breakfast. He, you know, asked for my business advice on something. And so I feel like I've really, especially even after this course, have grown in like stepping into my feminine side and really just like listening and receiving, and then kind of even speaking graciously to him about, you know, we were together for 5 years and he
Mm-hmm.
definitely wanted a life partner type commitment. And I just decided that he was not the right person for me, but he is for somebody else. And he, you know, he does want the same things that I want, and we were together. and me, it just wasn't meant to be. But I think I've actually learned a lot, especially after the relationship ends. If you can pick up sometime after and have, cordial conversations, and, you kind of postmortem a relationship, like why it worked or didn't work, or, the qualities you liked about the man or didn't like about him, or so it is a learning experience, and there is growth from that. And so moving into, I'm not in a relationship now, but I'm going to carry that forward with me,
Yeah, so that was my next question, actually. So we'll talk about where you are now, because I know some things have shifted and I can't wait for you to tell us about them. But I'm curious, let's talk about this coaching journey together that we did. So how would you describe this coaching journey that we did, and what actually happened during this time, and some of your realizations that you were able to come to some sort of conclusions or aha moments?
Right. So when I came across Anna, I was very frustrated. Like, I was kind of to the end of my rope with myself and what I was doing wrong. I was kind of beating myself up, and I was just really, really deflated. And I knew I wanted to change something. And I knew some of it had to do with me and the way I was behaving, but I just didn't know any other way to be. I think, like, not having women examples for me to follow with, where I live, feminine women that have businesses and families and are, able to coordinate all of those things together and have a harmonious marriage in life. And so the coaching with Anna really made me, stop and set aside time to work on this, because we had the coaching calls, an hour long, and Anna's very good at keeping you focused and utilizing your time. Yes. So, but really just kind of moving from doing to being was a huge shift for me. Um, because I've always been masculine and career oriented, and managing people, doing, and the bottom line stops with me, and I have to be responsible, and, just effort after effort, instead of just kind of, what I learned from Anna was just relaxing into myself and into my body, and like listening to, intuition, and kind of being silent and really like listening to the body. And you'll find, and it's amazing, that the answers just kind of pop up, and it's not the thinking thing, it's the feeling thing. And that's, a big part of what I learned. And so that has been really, really helpful. And just, flowing with things is another thing that I learned. It's like, life doesn't always work like you planned. And it's like, gosh, when you hit the road bumps and you're really down on, maybe a decision you made, or that you don't have the life that you want yet, and you're frustrated and you don't know how to unstuck yourself. So sometimes silence and like listening to your body and your intuition, and really just, for me, working with Anna really brought a lot of the focus back onto myself, versus thinking about a man and what are they doing, or what am I not doing good enough, or am I not good enough, or not worth it, or, me trying to give to them. I was always in relationships like over giving, like immensely, to my own detriment, really. And I would do it at work, and then I would do it at home in relationships, and then I always end up feeling empty inside. And so really shifting the focus back on myself is really kind of what Anna taught me, just, and how do I feel? And that's really the most important.
Wow, that's beautiful. You're like my best student, Sarah.
I get the A plus because I was a perfectionist. I was a total perfectionist.
Yeah, no, but I love what you're describing, because this is not only like, how do you attract a masculine man in your life, and you surrender to your feminine essence, and really leading from a place of not thinking, but being and flowing. And I love how you're describing and feeling, but it's also the answer to how we deal with life as women and how we lead. And I know, Sarah, we discussed a little bit about some decisions in your work and things like that, where you were really clear about, I want to actually maintain this in all of my areas of life, and women are craving this and they don't know how to make that switch. And when you make that switch, you can just, as you mentioned, relax into your own being, because the answers are already there and they're not in your head. I mean, a lot of the times they are in the head, because we still need to like show up, make big decisions and things like that. But when you do this kind of work, they really come from your own being and from your own truth. And when you listen to that, when you learn how to listen to your own body without rationalizing, labeling, having some sort of expectation, go, magic happens in that way. So I'm curious, Sarah, how would you, so the modality that I use in my coaching is called feminine embodiment. And we also talk about different femininity principles and things like that. So for somebody who, and that's a lot of people who's like, what the hell is feminine embodiment? For somebody who doesn't know what it is, like, how would you describe feminine embodiment, what it does, and the benefits of it as well?
Right. I think I had just gotten so far from the fact that I am a woman. Like I said, I'd lived a lifestyle where I was, was protecting myself and supporting myself financially and doing all these, things that, a man should, do for me. And so, but I guess I just didn't know any other way to be. And it's interesting that the word embodiment actually has, the word body in it. But I guess it was like almost when I started working with Anna, a remembrance of like, she needed to remind me that, oh, you are a woman. And this is traditionally like how feminine women are. And they were like, one thing for me was I watched the Rediscover Your Success, which is part of the program. It said something about actually wearing long skirts. And so I was like, oh, well, I'm going to do an experiment with this because I want to see what happens when I do this. And so I honestly, I started wearing, nice, like long boots with nice skirts. And the reaction I got from men was so much different. Like everywhere I went, men were like opening doors and looking at my tire pressure and just all these things. And I was just like, oh, the way they were treating me was totally different than the way I had been, where, if I got a flat tire, I would just get out there and try to fix it myself. And oh my
Why
gosh,
do you think that happened?
I think there was like an aura shift, like just kind of relaxing into my being and that I am a woman, and actually letting go and letting men be men, letting them have the opportunity to help me because they want to. And I think that does something for men. It like inspires something in them. The other day at the gas station, my tire was low and some guy I didn't even know was like, hey, your tire's low. And so I pull around to fill it up. And then there's a gentleman there, and I just went over and asked him, I was like, would you mind helping me? I honestly don't know how to read this tire pressure gauge thing. And I'm like, I could sit here and struggle with it, but this man probably knows. And then it just opened up this whole interaction where he like checked all of my tires. And then he was like, okay, and we need to fill this one and we need to fill this one. And it just really, so
how did you feel when that happened?
It felt really great because I mean, it was just like, oh, this man who I don't even know is really, caring about what happens to me. And he, without me asking, went to all the tires on the car and just was checking to make sure that they were safe and that I wasn't going to drive away and have my car, tires blow up or something. And it was just really a sweet interaction to like, and then I realized, I was like, oh, we just need to let them be men, and we need to let go of, the constant, doing, and I can do it myself kind of thing. And there are men that they are ready and willing to help women. And I think that it actually makes them feel good about themselves. Like, that they were able to offer something, to you.
I mean, what you're saying is so important, and something that, I mean, when I realized it, I was like, holy shit, almost like the purpose of men on this earth is to support the feminine and take care of us and be the heroes of our lives. I mean, that's pretty much, I mean, when we strip down, of course, the first and foremost for men and for women is like just be a good human being, you know,
Mhm.
self-sufficient, and like it's all obviously, like, we understand that, we know that, but then when you go into really the dynamics that happen in the polarity between men and women, it's like, honestly, they just want to be useful, they want to help, they want to take care of you, they want to provide and to protect, because that's what they do, because you birth children and you're weaker physically, and there's a lot of
Mm.
things that you can't do by yourself, and it is what it is, and you're right, it's like when you do this correctly, just let them be, like something happens and they're like rise up to the occasion, like literally and metaphorically, you know, and it's a different way of life. And I know that so many women, and maybe you, Sarah, before you kind of had this realization, actually look at these things as major weakness. Look at these women who
Right.
let men take care of them as like, oh, you don't have any self-esteem and you're like not independent, whatever, you know. And it's also like, even with skirts, you know, some of these things women would say, oh, you know, why do I have to wear skirts? It's like so stupid, and why do I have to be like, so I get reasons. So it's a whole thing in the mind. So what would you say, actually, I'm curious, to women who say that's weakness, and like these are all superficial things, and what is this, like, why do I need to wear, you know, skirts and pretend? That's an important thing, pretend to be weak.
Wow. I would say to that, that for me, even from just ease of life standpoint, wearing the skirts is so much more comfortable than wearing the pants. And I didn't plan to say that; it just popped in my head. But I don't think it's for me. I don't, from my own personal experience, which I just did.
Mm-hmm.
I actually felt strength in wearing skirts and dressing more feminine, and really just, I think when you get back to like being feminine, like you realize how comfortable you are just in that clothing and feeling good about yourself. And it doesn't actually mean that you're weak, because there is feminine, very feminine strength. We see it all over the world. Women are leading corporations and this and that. But just settling into who you are, like for me, I just was like, oh my gosh, I feel so much more comfortable actually wearing skirts now, and just being myself and being more feminine. And the responses I got were actually better than if I, tried to dress more masculinely, or, it's not showing weakness if you need help. It's actually showing strength when you ask a man or another woman that, hey, I need help with this because I don't know how to do it, or I'm not strong in this particular area. It's saying that I know myself.
Mm-hmm.
This is who I am, and I'm open to receiving, help. And I think
Yeah,
receiving
open,
is a
open to
open and
receiving, yeah.
receiving is a feminine quality.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
beautiful. So just to answer that question about embodiment, if somebody doesn't know what embodiment is, how would you actually describe it? So you started with, um, just
mm-hmm.
understanding that I'm a woman, like just feeling that in, and then
Hear
you
me
bring
roar.
it down. Okay. What else would you say is the coaching work of embodiment that we were doing?
Right. I think the embodiment piece is just, it really is a mindset shift. And I feel like working with Anna during the coaching sessions just really helped me to make that shift. And if you're maybe not around women that are more feminine, or people that are just like you, you're not gonna see changes that you want to make. Like it helps to have someone coaching you into this, like, and like I said, reminding you that, yeah, you are a woman, and it is okay to like let men play their role, and just feel into your body, and that you should be the one receiving, and that you don't have to do it all. This is just a belief system or a
Mhm.
cultural influence that in the most recent, our Anna and I are probably around the same age. I think Anna's younger, but generationally there was like a
Yeah.
huge push for women to just have a career and forget about the babies and the family and the rest of it. So we were very heavily influenced at that time. um,
And
and
what
so
actually Mhm.
I don't think we really learned how to,
Be.
embody being feminine.
Yeah,
You didn't learn it if you didn't know anyone that was embodying
doing that.
femininity.
Yeah,
Hmm.
beautiful. And there's actually like, I was actually thinking, and I was talking to another woman who's in her 40s now and, going through a second attempt at, well, she had a first baby when she was 40 something, and now they're doing a second round to see if it works. And we're just talking about her. And she said, and I was like, well, well, we weren't even trying, but I got pregnant. I was so, um, surprised because there's so much talk about infertility now and IVF and all of this. And she's like, yeah, that's mainly because women are having babies further down the line because first they focus on the career. And so, what
Right.
happens is you just focus and focus and focus on the career until it hits you. And then you're like,
Hmm.
oh shit. And then it's like, I think we forget, and that's totally was me. And I think every woman until she hits, I think 30 is that age where you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of serious. Like, I can't really play games anymore. And then you really start thinking and you realize there is a biological clock here, which I didn't even think about before I accidentally got married. So it's a serious issue that we really need to think about. And I know, Sarah, you want to have children. And this is a pressing subject for you. So,
Yeah.
so with this vision, let's shift now to talking about some of the results. You already talked about the results, that how you now feel, how you went from thinking to feeling, and from doing to more flowing and just being with yourself and letting men be men. So is there anything you'd like to add in terms of, okay, so practically speaking, you came to me because you wanted to attract different kind of a man, you wanted to be in another relationship, you want to be in Mexico by the beach, and you wanted to have children. We are very realistic that in 3 months, not all of these things can happen, just in terms of timeline. But I'm curious where you are with that vision for yourself, and what really you could anchor down to say, just explain the result or where you are right now in
Right.
comparison to where you were before we start working together.
Yeah. The vision is still for me holding strong. Like, I firmly believe in visualization. I think you have to imagine it and dream it before you can actually have it. And I have the benefit of knowing exactly what I want. So I'm really holding true to that vision. And right now, after the coaching, I really have moved into this very like serene, peaceful place where I'm just kind of allowing divine timing. I believe that this person that's meant for me is going to come, and that I will have all those things. So there's this element of faith, which was definitely strengthened through the program. I was definitely wobbly when I came to Anna, and I was stuck in frustration. So I really shifted from frustration to like peace,
Mm.
with where I'm at. And another thing that Anna really helped me with is maintaining the vision, but releasing the how. Because and many people are probably like this, they want to know how it's going to happen, when is it going to happen. And so for me, just having Anna's kind of like calm voice, and kind of like let go of the how, like, you need to put this kind of into the universe and believe, have faith, and just release the how is basically what she told me to do. So I've really been doing that, and I feel very, serene and peaceful. And, I feel like I am in alignment, and I'm still aligning some things in my life. So it may be that I'm not perfectly in alignment for this person to show up in my life. He may be just around the corner waiting for me to walk around that corner at the same time. And that's going to happen maybe a month from now, or maybe a week from now. I don't know, but I believe it will happen. And if I align things with exactly what I want, my needs and desires and all of those things, that person will appear and that life will happen. And so, yeah.
Yeah. And as you said, you started noticing how men are treating you differently.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There was a marked difference in the way that I was behaving around men, both just kind of like my mannerisms and my approach to them. That was kind of like, before the program, I might have been a little more domineering and kind of take control, like the control thing. But now I've like really stepped myself back and like, listening mode, receiving mode, kind of, I'm very good at reading body language and things like that too. But, so yeah, just the shift in my behavior towards men, and then reciprocally how they have treated me, much differently, like taking me out for breakfast. I told Anna once that all 3 of my ex-boyfriends over the last 15 years contacted me all in the same day. And I was like,
oh gosh, yeah.
It's so weird. I'm like, what is that? That can't be a coincidence that all 3 of these men contacted me on the very same day. And so things were definitely moving, and just even, in gas stations or wherever I went, I just tried to be very, gracious with men and not confrontational. And not that I'm a confrontational person, but, just, stepping back a little bit and
how and how does that feel when you are in that state, when men treat you differently like that?
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like the natural state of affairs, like how things should be. But I think we've gotten, we talked a little bit generationally off balance. Like, there is a balance in everything, in nature, in human beings, like just kind of the give and take of things, the masculine and feminine. So really just
and just
being
quickly,
balanced.
and just quickly to note that, Sarah, I think the amazing news is that women like you and me and everybody who's joining us on this journey are actually, because of these, current cultural dynamics and belief systems and all of this, are actually in the minority now. And the good news is that because we know this, I don't want to call it a magic trick, because it's really not magic. Like it's some sort of a hidden secret. And women who know this and know how to apply it, and it comes from a really deep, as you said, truth and a natural state of being, they're going to be the ones who are going to attract the masculine men in their own natural state of being, of their masculinity. They're going to be the ones who are happier, and the men around will notice that much quicker and will be just so that is so attractive in a woman. And that's why women don't really understand that actually surrendering, letting go, letting him lead is what's freaking attractive. And as soon as they see that woman, they feel it, first of all, and they want to be with that woman instead of the woman who's like sitting there and trying to be all independent, and with her body language, with her energy, just saying, I don't need you. I can do everything by myself. And so they're like, well, I'm not needed here, so I better go to Sarah, who's like, who's needing a man to step into her life and take care of it all, so she can surrender, relax, do the things that she wants, feel happy, have the baby. Like it's all there, So Sarah, you're on a great path, and I'm super happy for you. And if you keep doing what you're doing, I absolutely have no doubt that you're going to get to your vision sooner rather than later. So we're going to finish off with one last question. And Sarah, for everybody listening and maybe watching, why would you recommend coaching with Anna?
Wow. Well, like I said, your message just really resonated with my heart and my soul. And I knew I was looking for someone. And I do believe, in divine timing, and in that, what is meant for me won't pass me by. And when I saw your information, and I was just like, that's it. I mean, I really was. There wasn't any doubt in my mind. It was just like, I know that's what I want. And I kind of looked on Anna's website and kind of, read through some of her things,
Mm-hmm.
but I just knew that she had the lifestyle that I wanted. And I knew I needed someone, to be a mentor who'd already kind of been through this, process of learning about themselves, and finding, a life partner, and creating a family, and a coaching practice that, she is very successful at. So I wanted all those things. And the best way, you are who you hang around with, right? And that's proven. And so I decided to take action and be with work with somebody who has the things in their life that I would like to also have in mine.
Mm-hmm. And for everybody who's hesitant, what would you say?
I would say just take the plunge. Like, for women, we really, at the level of self-actualization, we need each other. We need collaboration. You can only get so far by yourself. And I am, like I said, a fiercely independent person. I tried to do everything by myself, but you have to think about it. Your experiences limited it to what your personal life has been in your upbringing and whatever else. It's like, two heads are better than one, in my opinion. And you just get so much more of a rich experience when you can bounce ideas off someone, or learn something, or what worked for you, or all of those things. And you really just, there's an energetic exchange where you learn and you grow, and then it changes both of your lives, because each one teach one. Like,
Oh yeah,
it's
absolutely. I mean, my interaction with you and every single client I have is teaching me so much just about women and this work and myself, so it's beautiful. All right, Sarah, thank you so much. I really
yeah.
appreciate it. And I hope we're going to keep in touch. I know we're going to keep in touch, and I look forward
Oh
to
yeah.
hearing all of your successes and your vision coming true. Thank you, Sarah, so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anna. Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.